Hello, I'm Matteo, the Chief Mobile Opinionist here at Tech Travel Geeks, and this is the Tech Travel Geeks setup video for the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G. If you don't already, please do subscribe to the Tech Travel Geeks here on YouTube. You'll be notified of any new videos we publish if you tap that bell button as well for notifications. Right then, so this is the follow-up to our unboxing of the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G, and what we're going to do now is go through with the setup of this very mirrory black, cosmic black device and walk you through the overall setup experience. So the first thing we're going to do is find that SIM tray which is at the bottom of the device, as we saw in the unboxing video. Now, the Mi 10T Pro 5G is a dual SIM device which only takes 2 SIM cards. It does not take a SIM card and a memory card, so please be aware of that if you're considering buying one. This is a Xiaomi device that is non-expandable in terms of storage. So I've put my SIM card in slot 1, I'm going to slip that in and it clicks perfectly. So the next thing we're going to look at is turning it on. So you see on the right hand side here, we have the on-off button, which is also a fingerprint reader. I'm going to long press that and we'll be presented with the splash screen. So you'll see it's the Xiaomi logo, powered by Android, and we'll be following that up with a nice little rolling image 5G logo. Now, whilst we go through with the boot, I'll just talk about the screen a little. So this is a diagonal screen with 6.67 inch display. It's an LCD panel. And as you can see now that we're on a white screen, in the top left hand corner, there's a dot, a hole in the screen for the selfie camera. And in this case, that's a 20 megapixel selfie camera. Now we're on the MiUI or MiUI 12 launch screen. I'm going to go ahead, and it already knows that we're in the United Kingdom. Great. I'm already chosen as United Kingdom. This is great because I purchased this device from Amazon here in the UK. So what I'm going to do now is select my Wi-Fi network, in this case Planet Express, and there we are, I'm connecting. And I have to say, really positive first impressions of that haptic feedback on this device. So we're going to go ahead. I trust Xiaomi with all my data and all the information I put on this phone, and we're going to check for updates now. So this is part of the process where the device is connecting to my Wi-Fi network and getting that all set up. I am not going to copy any data or information from any previous device. I want to go through the full setup experience as a new device. And that involves signing into my Google account, which I do already have. So there we are, we're connected to Google, I've logged in with my account, and it's now going to pull down some extra account information. So this will take a few seconds, and once that's done, it's going to ask us to confirm all the different Google services, such as usage and diagnostics, location, synchronizing with all other Google services, and I'm fine with that. Now here we have a screen which is quite a relatively new thing, where you have to choose your default search engine in the Android operating system. So in this case I'm going to choose Google, but you can also choose between Privacy Wall, Microsoft Bing and info.com. So we're going to go ahead with that. So let's carry on with the setup and see what happens. This is Google Assistant. We've seen this on many devices previously, and we're going to go ahead with that system. Now, voice match is where it matches your voice to the invocation to the service, and I agree to that. And because I've set up multiple devices in the past, I don't need to set up voice match again, which is fantastic. Really easy. I'm going to enable Google Pay. In this case, the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G also has NFC, so I can use this device for paying in shops using my MasterCard that's saved on the account, as well as to take the London Tube or Lothian buses. So now we're signing into the Xiaomi account, And for ease of use, I'm going to use my existing Xiaomi account that I've set up through Google. And so we need to give Xiaomi Cloud some permissions regarding calls and access to data. I'm cool with that because it is actually quite useful to have a redundant backup in China. So we're going to allow the service to see that. I'm going to set this up as a new device. As with Google, as with the Xiaomi device setup, this is not going to restore anything from a previous backup. Now, we're at setting the password, and this is where MiUI takes over. Now, the fingerprint scanner will need to be registered, but before we do that, we need to register a pattern or a PIN number. So I'm going to do that now. You get a little warning saying, would you like to remember your password? And I'm going to say yes. So I'm just going to set this up, and there we go. So I've set up the pattern for unlocking. Now let's set up the fingerprint scanner itself. Now the fingerprint scanner on the Mi 10T Pro 5G is on the right-hand side of the device, and it's ergonomically quite good if you're right-handed. So I'm going to carry on tapping my fingerprint on that fingerprint scanner. I have to say the responsiveness is quite fast whilst I go through that setup process. And that's it, done. By repeatedly tapping on that fingerprint scanner, it has all my biometric data needed to set up the phone. And that's us done. Now, one of the cool features of MiUI, which we've seen quite in depth in other devices here on Tech Travel Geeks, is the customization. It's really easy to change themes. What I'm going to go is with the classic theme, or the limitless theme, is the initial setting, but I'll go with the classic one, and we'll see what happens. So now we're told that the setup is now complete. We're ready to rock with MiUI 12. MiUI. So it's now loading apps and taking us to the home screen for the first time. Let's see what that's like. Good thing I made sure my battery was charged and that the memory card in my camera is ready to go. That will make editing this long video much easier. We'll wait till the setup continues loading apps. So if you don't already, please do subscribe to the Tech Travel Geeks here on YouTube. You'll get notified whenever we publish new videos. And just like that, as I was buying time, we're now set up with MiUI and have access to the home screen. Now, first impressions, just like other MiUI devices we've had, it's a pretty straightforward home screen with a Google feed in the left level panel, which is great. Now, by default, the MiUI home screen does not have an app drawer. So that's not there. If you swipe up from the bottom, you get Google search. This is the default here in the UK. But let's swipe down and see the MiUI quick settings. So this is quite familiar as a setup if you've already used MiUI or most other phone operating systems at that level. Let's also find the settings. So in the settings we have System Apps Updater as well as About Phone. So as we said earlier, this is the MiUI 12 of the Mi 10T Pro 5G. As it comes out of the box, I haven't installed anything extra. It has 18.8 gigabytes used of 256, and there's all the extra information about the Snapdragon 865 chipset, which at this level can run up to 2.84 gigahertz, and the fact that it has 8 gigabytes of RAM, and that this is MiUI 12 based on Android 10. So great news there. At the end of November 2020, this by default has the patch of the 1st of September 2020, but let's see if there's an update to MiUI. which we can download in the background. And yes, there is. So I'm going to download that update. Really pleasant animation there, switching between panels. And we're good. So it's all working. Whilst this happens in the background, I'm also going to pop into the Google Play Store and install all the relevant apps, including Protect Scotland, which is the COVID-19 app for track and trace, which is quite handy. So quite a few apps here that need to be updated. Let's have a look at what is actually pre-installed, apart from the default Google Play or Google folder. So you'll see that this is all the default Google apps, which any Android handset that is part of the Open Handset Alliance should have. There's a file manager, music player, cleaner, themes, and gallery, all the basics. Phone dialer and SMS messaging. Interesting, the default text message app in this case is Google Messages. It's not Xiaomi's own one, it's defaulting to the Google one. And there's another few pre-installed apps, including Opera, the browser, the Xiaomi own apps for the Mi browser, Notes, the Xiaomi community and store apps, and then we have a folder with Facebook, so definitely a social network there. LinkedIn, it can work. It is useful to some people, so I understand why it's there. WPS Office, eBay, AliExpress, and Netflix. So all of them quite useful, apart from eBay. What I'm going to do is uninstall eBay. I don't use it, nor will I ever again after having been burnt by eBay. So that's that. And then we've got another folder with handy apps, including the Mi Remote. The Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G has a handy infrared blaster at the top of the device. That means you can use it as a remote control for your TVs, air conditioning, blinds, and so forth. And to do that, you use the Mi Remote app. And you also have a compass, screen recorder, download manager, and all these other wonderful things. So as far as the setup experience goes, it's great. Let's sign into the Google account to make sure that it's us and that we get relevant news. I'll do that later. But what I want to do now is just quickly go into settings and check a few things. Now this screen is lovely. It's a 6.67 inch display. It's full high definition plus and it's LCD. The brightness is quite bright, but what I do like to do is have dark mode on. In the case of an LCD, it's not as good as on an OLED screen, but in this case we're going to adjust wallpaper to dark mode, but just enable dark mode. You can also schedule dark mode if you like. And as you can see, dark mode is now on. And you can also have a quick look at refreshing the refresh rate for the display. So by default, it's on 144 Hertz refresh rate. That means that the screen refreshes 144 times a second. You also have a medium setting, which is 90 Hertz. That's the same as we've seen on the Google Pixel 5 and other devices. Or you can go all the way down to 60 Hertz, which is the standard. For example, the iPhone works on that. And use that to save battery. Now, there is also an adaptive refresh mode, which will make sure that you are always on the most appropriate one. I will need to look that out further in the settings, but I know that is there because others have been talking about this great feature. And as you can see, dark mode is there. It works nicely. Let's see how we're getting on with our updates. So of all the apps that we're needing updated, quite a few have done so in the background, just showing you how good that 8 GB of RAM and having that 865 Snapdragon chipset in place. That essentially means that all that hard work of the operating system update as well as the Google Play Store app update is running smoothly in the background. Now I'm going to close this for now, First impressions are very, very positive. I've pretty much set up my phone now. If we look at the settings, there's also the operating system update ready to go. This is the updated version of MiUI or MiUI 12. Let's see what's new in this version. It's essentially optimization of audio recorded by third-party apps, which was relatively low. I'm sure there's plenty of other bug fixes and minor iterations or improvements on software, and that's all happening in the background. Before I reboot, I'll take that case that we saw in the unboxing, the included case in the packaging of the Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G, and pop the phone in there. So I obviously want to make sure that that camera module on the back is kept safe, because the Mi 10T Pro 5G has this wonderful on paper camera, which is a 108 megapixel sensor with optical image stabilization. And this case still allows you to see the original Mi logo in the bottom left of the back of the device, but it shouts out about it being Xiaomi. So show me the Xiaomi, or something like that. Right, we've finished pretty much updating most of our apps. We'll double check. Yep, all the apps are updated in the Google Play Store. What I'm going to do now is go through with the update to update the device to the new version of MiUI and wrap up this video. Obviously, this is the second video of our Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro 5G coverage. We will be publishing more in the coming days and weeks. So to be sure to catch that content, as well as our other coverage of consumer electronics, home automation, and generally any gadgets or things we think make the travel experience better, please do subscribe to the Tech Travel Geeks here on YouTube. But for now, thanks for watching, and goodbye from me.